Have you ever wondered how the ancient Romans kept those white togas so incredibly bright? I mean, really bright. Did they have some secret magic? What if I told you that the secret to their sparkling clean clothes was actually collected in jars from public street corners? Today, we are going to step inside a real Roman Fullonica from the 2nd century AD. We are going to spend one entire, gritty day with a man named Lucius. His job is to wash the clothes of the most powerful people in the city, but he does it using human waste. From the choking fumes of sulfur to the ankle-deep vats of ammonia, stay with us. Because if Lucius doesn't get a specific red wine stain out of a senator's favorite tunic by sunset, he isn't just going to lose his job, he's going to be in serious trouble. The sun hasn't even peeked over the red-tiled roofs of Ostia yet, but Lucius is already awake. The first thing that hits him isn't the sunlight or the sound of the carts on the cobblestones. It is the smell. It is a thick, heavy, stinging smell that grabs you by the nose hairs and doesn't let go. To Lucius, though, this is just the smell of money. As a fuller, which is just the fancy Roman name for a laundry worker, Lucius sits right at the bottom of the social ladder. He works with his hands, he stands in filth, and nobody rich wants to sit next to him at dinner. But here is the irony: without him, the rich people wouldn't look so rich. Their vanity is his livelihood. He walks into the damp, dimly lit workshop. The floor is wet, covered in a layer of moss that makes every step a potential slip hazard. Sound of squelching footsteps, Lucius heads straight for the back corner. He needs to check the stock. He grabs a heavy, rough clay amphora. It is cold to the touch. He pops the lid, and the smell gets 10 times stronger. This isn't olive oil. It isn't wine. It is urine. It has been collected from the public latrines around the city and brought here in carts. Why? Because when urine sits for a while, it turns into ammonia. And ammonia is the only thing strong enough to eat through the grease and oil that gets stuck in wool. Lucius pours the yellow liquid into the large stone basins that line the wall. It splashes against the stone, foaming slightly. But as he pours, his heart skips a beat. The liquid level is lower than he expected. Way lower. Sound of a ceramic jar scraping. He shakes the last few drops out. Great, he mutters to himself. Just great. He is already short on supplies, and today is going to be busy. He can hear the carts rumbling outside the heavy wooden doors. The shipment of dirty tunics from the local bathhouse has arrived. The foreman, a big man with arms as thick as tree trunks, barks an order. Get the door, Lucius. Move it. Lucius rushes to the entrance. The sunlight blinds him for a second as the slaves dump a massive pile of sweaty, dirty clothes onto the floor. It smells like wet dog and old body odor. But Lucius isn't looking at the pile. He is looking for one specific thing. He digs through the mound of fabric. Tunic. Sash. Tunic. There. He pulls out a garment made of incredibly fine wool. It has a purple stripe on the edge. This belongs to Senator Cato. Lucius holds it up and freezes. Right on the front, there's a dark, ugly splash. Red wine, and it looks like it has been there for days. The foreman walks over, wipes his hands on his apron, and points a calloused finger at the stain. That needs to be gone by sunset, he growls. The senator is attending a feast tonight. If that stain is still there, the fee comes out of your pay. All of it. Lucius swallows hard. He looks at his low supply of ammonia. He looks at the tough, dried stain, and he knows he has a massive problem on his hands. Lucius drags the heavy, sodden bundle of clothes toward the fulling stalls. This is where the real work happens. This isn't like your washing machine at home. This is manual labor that would break a modern athlete in an hour. Lucius has to strip down to just his loincloth. The workshop is humid, like a jungle, but the water in the vats is freezing cold. He climbs over the edge of the stone tub. The water hits his skin, and it's shocking. It is a mixture of water, special clay called fuller's earth, and that fermented urine we talked about. He starts to stomp. Imagine doing deep knee squats in waist-deep water, over and over again. That is the Fullonica's dance, up and down, left and right. Squish, squash, squish, squash. The ammonia stings his eyes instantly. The fumes rise up from the warm water, making it hard to breathe. It burns the back of his throat, but Lucius can't stop. He has to force the cleansing agents deep into the fibers of the wool. He has to break down the body oils and the dirt. He grabs the senator's tunic and throws it into the mix. He focuses all his weight on the stain, stomping directly on it. Hours pass. His legs are burning. His skin is wrinkled like a prune from being wet for so long. Just when he thinks he can't feel his toes anymore, the foreman shouts again. Out! Sulfur time! This is the part everyone hates. Lucius climbs out, dripping wet and shivering. He has to take the now wet, soapy tunics and hang them in a small, airtight room at the back of the shop. This is the batching room. There is a pot of burning sulfur inside. Now, sulfur is nasty stuff. It smells like rotten eggs that have been left in the sun for a week. But the white smoke it creates acts as a bleach. It turns the wool from a dull gray back to a brilliant white. But there is a catch. The smoke is toxic. You can't stay in there with it. Lucius has to work fast. He grabs the wet tunics, one by one, and hangs them on the wooden racks inside the room. The smoke is already thick, swirling around his ankles. His eyes are watering so much he can barely see. He hangs 3 tunics, 4, 5. He reaches for the senator's tunic to hang it up, but his hand grabs empty air. He freezes. He wipes his eyes. He looks down at the pile of wet clothes waiting to be hung. The senator's tunic is gone. A cold spike of fear drives right through his chest, colder than the water. He didn't hang it up yet. Where is it? Did he leave it in the stomping vat? Did it fall on the wet floor? If he leaves it in the main room while the sulfur burns, it won't get bleached. It will stay yellow. But if he goes back out to look for it, he wastes precious seconds and breathes in more smoke. He stumbles out of the sulfur room, gasping for fresh air. He sprints back to the stomping vats. The water is still rippling from his exit. He plunges his hands deep into the murky gray water. It feels gross, slimy, and gritty. He feels around the bottom. Nothing. He checks the floor. Nothing. Panic is setting in. The foreman is watching him, looking confused. Lucius is sweating now, a cold sweat that mixes with the water on his skin. He runs to the pressing area. And there, under a pile of dirty rags waiting to be washed, he sees a flash of purple trim. He yanks it out. It had been knocked off the table somehow. He clutches it to his chest. He has it, but the sulfur door is closed, and the gas is building up. He has to go back in. The sun is beginning to dip lower in the sky, casting long orange shadows across the workshop floor. The sulfur has done its job. Lucius opens the door to the small room, waving his hand to clear the remaining white smoke. He pulls the tunics down. They look incredible. They are blindingly white. The chemical reaction worked perfectly, but the work isn't done. Wool, when it gets wet and dried, shrinks and gets stiff. It would feel like wearing a carpet. The final stage is the carding, and this requires a gentle touch. Lucius moves to a wooden stool near the window where the light is better. He picks up a plant. It looks like a weed with sharp, spiny leaves. This is the fuller's thistle. In nature, these little hooks catch on to passing animals to spread their seeds. But in the Fullonica, they are the world's finest brush. Lucius takes the senator's tunic. It is dry now, but rough. He starts to brush it. He uses the thistle to gently tease up the fibers of the wool. Scritch, scratch. He goes with the grain, then against it. Slowly, the fabric transforms. It stops looking like a matted mess and starts to look like soft, luxurious cloth again. He works the thistle over the spot where the wine stain was. He holds his breath as he inspects it. The sunlight hits the fabric. There is no discoloration. There is no thin spot where the sulfur might have burned it too strong. It is perfect. He repeats this process for the other tunics, his hands moving with a rhythm that is almost hypnotic. This is the part where he feels like an artist, not just a laborer. He is restoring beauty to things that were ruined. The heavy wooden doors at the front of the shop swing open with a creak. A slave walks in, wearing a clean tunic of his own. He is here to pick up the order. The shop is quiet now, compared to the chaos of the morning. The foreman nods at Lucius. Lucius stands up, his knees popping audibly. He folds the senator's tunic with the utmost care. He places it on the counter. The client steps forward. He looks like the kind of man who is used to getting what he wants. He doesn't look at Lucius. He just picks up the tunic. He holds it up against his own body to check the size. He runs his hand over the fabric, feeling the softness that Lucius created with the thistle. Then he looks right at the chest. He looks for the stain. The silence in the room is heavy. Lucius's heart is hammering against his ribs. This is it, the moment of truth. The client nods. He grunts, just a tiny sound of approval. "This will do," he says. He turns to the foreman and drops a small pouch of coins on the table. Clink, clink. The sound of bronze hitting wood is the sweetest sound Lucius has heard all day. The client walks out, holding the white garment like it was made of gold dust. The foreman picks up the pouch. He counts out a few coins and tosses them to Lucius. "Good work today." The senator was pleased. Lucius catches the coins. It isn't a fortune. It won't buy him a villa. But it will buy bread and maybe a little fish for dinner. He rubs his thumb over the rough metal. He is covered in grime. His eyes are red from the fumes. His feet are blistered from the wet stone, and he smells like a public bathroom. But looking at the empty spot on the counter where the tunic used to be, he feels a surge of pride. He survived the shift. He outsmarted the stain. He cleaned the Roman Empire, one dirty tunic at a time. So the next time you throw your clothes in the dryer and press a button, just remember Lucius. Remember the urine, the sulfur, and the thistles. If you enjoyed stepping back in time to see the grit behind the glamour of Rome, hit that like button right now to help us tell more of these stories. And make sure you subscribe, because next time we are going to find out what happened to the poor guy who had to clean the Roman sewers. You do not want to miss that. Thanks for watching, and see you in the past. How long could you tread water in a vat of acid before your lungs gave out? What if the air you breathed could eat you alive from the inside? Today, we are stepping into the most dangerous room in the ancient world. This is the dance of death, the phase of the Roman laundry process where workers risked their lives using sulfur and ammonia just to get a white tunic. We are back with Lucius, and the stakes have never been higher. Stay with us, because Lucius is about to make a mistake that could cost him his life, not just his job. The sun is climbing high over the streets of Ostia, beating down on the red tile roofs. But inside the Fullonica, it feels like a swamp. The air is heavy, wet, and thick, with a smell that grabs you by the throat. Lucius stands at the edge of the fulling vats. These are huge stone basins, built into the floor, filled to the brim with a liquid that looks like dirty soup. This is the mixture: water, fine clay, and gallons of aged urine. The ammonia is so strong here that it makes your eyes water the moment you walk in the room. But for Lucius, this is the chemical factory that keeps Rome clothed. He looks down at his feet. He is already stripped down to his loincloth. His skin is pale from the early morning chill, but he knows that in a few minutes he won't feel cold anymore. He will feel the burn. Sound of a heavy splash. Lucius steps into the vat. The water is shocking. It hits his legs and instantly sucks the heat out of them. But the real shock is the chemical bite. The ammonia stings any tiny cut or scrape on his skin like fire. He grits his teeth and lowers himself waist deep into the murky water. Now begins the dance. This isn't just washing clothes. It is an endurance test. Lucius has to tread the fabrics. He grabs the heavy, waterlogged wool tunics and throws them over his shoulder. Then he starts to stomp, up and down, left and right. He has to use his full body weight to force the ammonia and the clay into the fibers. Imagine doing deep squats in a bath of bleach while holding heavy weights. That is Lucius's morning. Squish, squash, squish, squash. The sound echoes off the stone walls. The rhythm is hypnotic, but it is exhausting. Every stomp sends a splash of chemical water up into his face. He squeezes his eyes shut to keep the burning liquid out. He can't wipe them with his hands because his hands are covered in the greasy, dirty clay. He has to rely on instinct. Beside him, another worker, a young boy named Marcus, is already struggling. Marcus is gasping for air, the fumes getting to him. "Breathe through your mouth, kid." Lucius shouts over the splashing. "Don't let it stop you. If they stop, the clothes don't get clean. If the clothes aren't clean, nobody eats." Hours go by. The sun moves across the floor, lighting up the dust motes dancing in the humid air. Lucius's legs are shaking. His muscles scream for rest. He has been stomping for 4 hours straight. His skin is wrinkled and white, swollen from the water, but he can't stop yet. He reaches into the water and pulls out the special tunic. The senator's tunic. He holds it up. The red wine stain is fainter, but it is still there, a ghost of a stain. He throws it back into the water and jumps on it with both feet. He channels all his frustration, all his fatigue into that one spot. Stomp, stomp, stomp. He has to break that stain down. Suddenly, the heavy wooden doors bang open. The foreman storms in, holding a cloth over his nose. He doesn't like the smell any more than the workers do. Enough, he yells. Get out. The sulfur is ready. This is the signal that changes the mood in the room instantly. The stomping stops. The silence is deafening, replaced only by the sound of dripping water and heavy breathing. This is the most dangerous part of the day. Lucius climbs out of the vat. He drips on the floor, his legs barely able to hold his weight. He grabs the wet, heavy bundle of clothes. They are clean now, but they are gray and yellowed. They need to be white. That is where the sulfur comes in. The workers move toward a small, windowless room at the back of the shop. It looks like a prison cell. Inside, there is a metal pot sitting on a bed of hot coals. In the pot, lumps of sulfur are melting, releasing a thick white smoke. Everyone knows the rules of the sulfur room. You go in, you hang the clothes, you get out. You don't talk. You don't stop. You don't take deep breaths. The sulfur dioxide acts as a bleach. It turns the fabric white, but it also turns human lungs into mush if you stay in too long. Lucius takes his position at the door. He has to act as the runner. The other workers hand him the wet tunics, and he has to dash into the smoke, hang them on the wooden racks, and dash back out before his air runs out. He grabs the first tunic. He holds his breath. He ducks into the room. The smoke is like a wall. It is white and dense. He can't see a thing. He feels his way to the rack, fumbles with the peg, and hangs the tunic. He can feel the burn in his throat already. He turns and runs out, gasping for clean air. Next. He wheezes. They work in a frantic line. Tunic after tunic. In and out. In and out. The heat in the room is intense, adding to the heat of his exhaustion. Then he sees it. The senator's tunic. It is the last one. It is still wet and heavy. Lucius grabs it. He checks the spot where the stain was one last time. It looks clean. Please let it be clean. He takes a massive gulp of air, filling his lungs to capacity, and ducks into the sulfur room for the final time. The smoke is thicker now, swirling like an angry ghost. He steps toward the rack. His foot slips on the wet stone floor. He crashes into the rack. Pots rattle. The sulfur smoke swirls violently. Lucius scrambles to keep his balance. In the chaos, the senator's tunic slips from his hands. He reaches out blindly, his fingers brushing the wet wool. He grabs it, but he realizes with a jolt of ice-cold terror that he has been in the room too long. His chest is tight. His head is spinning. The lack of oxygen is making him dizzy. He fumbles with the hanger, his hands shaking. He can't get the tunic on the hook. He drops it again. He coughs, and that's the worst thing he can do. The cough forces the air out of his lungs and sucks the sulfur smoke in. It burns like hot coals. He drops to his knees, grasping for the tunic on the floor. The smoke is blinding him. He can hear the foreman shouting from outside, but the sound is muffled, like he is underwater. Lucius, get out. He has the tunic in his hand. He has to hang it. He can't leave it on the floor, or it will get bleached unevenly and be ruined. He forces himself to stand up, fighting the urge to pass out. He reaches up, finds the hook, and jams the tunic onto it. He turns to run, but his legs are like lead. He stumbles toward the doorframe. The light from the shop looks like a tiny dot in the distance. He throws himself forward, crashing through the curtain and onto the cool floor of the main workshop. He gasps, sucking in huge, ragged breaths of air. He is coughing uncontrollably, his eyes streaming tears. The other workers back away, watching him. Close the door. The foreman yells, and someone slams the sulfur chamber shut, sealing the white cloud inside. Lucius rolls onto his back, his chest heaving. He is alive. But as he looks up at the ceiling, the panic sets in again. Did he hang it straight? Did the smoke get it evenly? Or did he ruin it in his rush to escape the gas? The door is locked now. The clothes are cooking in the chemical fog. There is no way to check until the process is done. Lucius pulls himself up to a sitting position, still wheezing. His throat feels raw, like he swallowed broken glass. He looks at the sealed door. Inside that chamber, the senator's tunic is undergoing a chemical transformation. It is either becoming pristine white, or it is being destroyed by the very thing that was supposed to save it. Lucius wipes his eyes with the back of his hand. He did his job. He survived the dance. But the silence of the shop feels heavy. Everyone is waiting to see if the white smoke turned the tunic into gold or into rags. We aren't done yet. The clothes are white, but they are stiff as boards. The sulfur smell is clinging to everything. Lucius has one final challenge ahead of him, and it requires the gentlest touch he has. Can he save the fabric before the senator arrives? We are about to find out. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the final part of this ancient laundry saga, because the ending is going to surprise you. Thanks for watching, and keep breathing easy. Can a simple weed turn a rough, itchy rug into a fabric fit for an emperor? What if the final secret to Roman luxury wasn't a gold loom, but a prickly plant growing by the side of the road? Today, we are finishing our journey inside the Fullonica. We have survived the urine vats and the sulfur gas, but now comes the moment of truth. This is the final delicate step where Lucius must use nature's Velcro to save the senator's tunic or face the consequences. Stay with us until the very end, because we are finally going to reveal if that stubborn red wine stain survived the chemical bath. The sun is starting to dip lower in the sky, casting long golden shadows across the workshop floor. The air inside the Fullonica has changed. The sharp, choking smell of sulfur is finally fading, replaced by the earthy scent of damp wool and drying clay. Lucius stands in front of the small, sealed room, his hand hovering over the iron latch. He takes a deep breath, his lungs still stinging slightly from the fumes he inhaled earlier. This is the moment he has been dreading. Did he leave the clothes in too long? Did the smoke ruin them? He pulls the heavy door open. A cloud of white steam rolls out, swirling around his ankles. Lucius waves his hand to clear the air and steps inside. Hanging from the wooden rafters are the tunics, ghostly white in the dim light. He reaches up and touches the fabric. It is dry, but it feels terrible. It is stiff, hard, and crunchy. If you were to wear it right now, it would feel like wearing a suit made of cardboard. The sulfur did its job. It bleached the fabric perfectly white, but it stripped all the natural oils from the wool. The clothes are pristine, but they are unwearable. This is the new problem. Lucius has to turn these brittle boards back into soft, flowing silk. He carries the bundle of stiff tunics out to the main workroom and lays them on a long wooden table. The light from the window is fading, so he pulls a lamp closer, the oil flame flickering and dancing. Now he reaches for his most important tool. It isn't a heavy stone or a harsh chemical. It is a plant. He picks up a bundle of dried fuller's thistle. To the untrained eye, it looks like a weed with sharp, spiny flower heads. But to Lucius, this is a magic wand. Sound of a dry, scratchy rustling. He picks up the senator's tunic first. His hands are shaking a little, not just from fatigue, but from fear. He hasn't been able to look closely at the stain since he hung it up in the smokeroom. He holds the tunic up to the light. He squints, his heart pounding in his ears. He scans the white fabric, and there it is. Or is it? There is a faint shadow where the wine used to be. It's not red anymore. It's just a slightly lighter patch of white. Is it a shadow? Is it a trick of the light? Or did the sulfur eat away the fabric in that one spot? This is the mystery that has been haunting him all day. He has to fix this, and he has to do it now. Lucius sits down on his stool. He grabs the thistle head. He begins to brush. This technique is called raising the nap. The tiny hooks on the thistle catch the fibers of the wool and pull them up. It is like combing tangled hair, but 1,000 times finer. As he brushes, the rough, scaly surface of the wool begins to fluff up. The hard, crunchy texture softens. He works the thistle in small circles, gently teasing the fibers apart. He focuses entirely on the mystery spot. He brushes over it, careful not to snag the wool. Slowly, the fibers stand up. The difference in texture disappears. The shadow vanishes, blending in with the rest of the raised nap. It was just the way the fabric had flattened when it was wet. The stain is truly gone. Lucius lets out a breath. He feels like he's been holding all day. His shoulders drop 3 inches. The chemical warfare worked. The physical labor worked. But he isn't done yet. The tunic is soft, but it still smells like rotten eggs. No senator wants to walk into a banquet smelling like a volcano. Lucius walks over to a small chest in the corner. He opens it, and a sweet, floral aroma fills the air. Dried lavender, rose petals, saffron. This is the luxury part. He takes a pinch of dried lavender and rubs it between his palms, crushing the buds into a fine dust. He then gently pats it into the fabric of the tunic. The oils from the flowers cling to the wool, masking the harsh chemical smell. Now the tunic smells like a garden in spring. It is white, it is soft, and it smells divine. It is unrecognizable from the filthy, ragged thing that was thrown on his floor this morning. He repeats this process for the other tunics, his hands moving with a practiced rhythm. Scrape with the thistle, rub with the flowers. Scrape, rub, scrape, rub. The sun has almost completely set now. The workshop is dark, lit only by the warm glow of the oil lamps. The shadows on the walls dance like ghosts. Lucius is exhausted. His back aches, his feet are throbbing, and his skin is dry and tight from the chemicals. But as he folds the final tunic, he feels a strange sense of pride. He took something ruined and made it beautiful again. He is an artist, even if his canvas is dirty laundry. Just then, the heavy wooden doors creak open. The sound cuts through the quiet room like a knife. The client has arrived. It is not the senator himself. He is too important to come to a laundry, but his head slave. A tall man with a severe face and a very fancy belt. He walks in, his nose wrinkling slightly at the lingering smell of the shop, even though the air is mostly fresh now. He looks around, his eyes critical, scanning the room for any sign of laziness. "Is it ready?" the slave asks. His voice is cold. He doesn't care about Lucius's cough or his sore feet. He just wants the clothes. Lucius stands up. He wipes his hands on his apron. He picks up the carefully folded pile of clothes. He places it on the counter. Right on top of the stack is the senator's tunic. "It is ready, sir," Lucius says. His voice is hoarse, but he tries to sound confident. Washed, whitened, and softened with lavender. The slave steps forward. He reaches out and picks up the senator's tunic. He unfolds it. He shakes it out. The fabric catches the lamplight, shimmering softly. The slave holds it up against his own chest. He looks at the color. He runs his hand over the surface, feeling the soft texture that the thistle created. He brings it to his nose and sniffs. The scent of lavender is strong and pleasant. Then he does what Lucius feared most. He holds the tunic right up to the lamp, looking for imperfections. He stares at the chest area, the spot where the wine stain was. Lucius stops breathing. The slave's eyes narrow. He turns the fabric slightly. The light catches the raised nap. There is no stain. There is no thin spot. There is only perfect white wool. The slave lowers the tunic. He looks at Lucius for the first time. He doesn't smile, but he gives a sharp, approving nod. "The senator will be pleased," he says. He reaches into his purse and pulls out a small leather pouch. He tosses it onto the counter. It lands with a heavy, satisfying clink. "For the foreman," he says. Then he scoops up the clothes and turns to leave. Lucius watches him go. The doors close, and the shop is quiet again. The foreman walks over, picks up the pouch, and weighs it in his hand. He counts out a few coins and tosses them to Lucius. "Double rations tonight," the foreman grunts. "You earned it." He walks away to close the shutters. Lucius catches the coins. They are warm in his hand. It isn't a fortune. In the grand scheme of Rome, it is almost nothing. But for Lucius, it means a full belly and a warm bed. He walks to the back of the shop and splashes some clean water on his face, washing away the grime of the day. He looks at his reflection in a polished metal shield hanging on the wall. He looks tired. His eyes are red, But he is alive. He thinks about the day. He stepped into vats of ammonia. He braved a room full of poison gas. He battled a wine stain with a weed. And he won. It is a strange life, being invisible to the people you serve. The senator will wear the tunic tonight. He will eat and drink and laugh. He will compliment the fabric, not knowing that a man named Lucius nearly choked to death to make it white. He will never know the smell of the sulfur or the sting of the ammonia. He will just enjoy the luxury. Lucius blows out the lamp. The shop plunges into darkness. He steps out into the cool night air of Ostia. The streets are quieter now. The stars are coming out. He takes a deep breath of fresh air, grateful that it doesn't smell like urine or sulfur. He clutches his coins and starts the walk home. He is just a laundry worker, a tiny cog in the machine of the empire. But today, that cog turned perfectly smoothly. So the next time you put on a soft, clean shirt, take a second to think about Lucius. Think about the thistles, the sweat, and the sheer grit it took to keep the ancient world looking fabulous. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, make sure you smash that like button right now to help us tell more stories like this. And subscribe to the channel because we have so many more jobs from history to explore you won't believe what the gladiator doctors had to do. Thanks for watching, and remember, history isn't just dates and names. It's real people doing hard work one day at a time. See you next time.